Think about everything you paid for this month. Your music, your movies, your software at work, maybe a game for your kid, maybe a textbook for school. Now, ask yourself a simple question. Do you actually own any of it? Like, really own it? Could you hold it, pass it down, resell it? Or could someone somewhere flip a switch and make it disappear tomorrow? Because here's the thing most people don't realize. You're not buying things anymore. You're renting permission to use things. And that permission can be revoked at any time, for any reason, without asking you first. This isn't a conspiracy. It's a business model. And it's spreading into almost every part of your life. Your music library, your car features, your farm equipment, even your home appliances. A caveman who found a good rock owned that rock. Period. Nobody could take it back. Nobody charged him a monthly fee to keep using it. But somehow, in the most advanced civilization in human history, you pay full price for things and still don't own them. That should make you angry. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why it happened. Let me set this up the way a caveman would see it. Imagine you're living 10,000 years ago. You find a sharp stone. You spend hours shaping it into a blade. That blade is yours. Nobody can unsharpen it. Nobody can take away its features while you sleep. Nobody sends you a message saying your blade license has expired and you need to upgrade to the premium rock plan. You made it. You own it. Done. Now fast forward to today. You buy a movie on a digital platform. You pay real money for it. It shows up in your library. You feel like you own it. Then one day, the platform loses the licensing deal, and the movie vanishes from your account. No refund, no warning, just gone. You bought a thing, and the thing left. A caveman would stare at you and say, "So the rock you paid for just walked away, and you're okay with that?" No, we're not okay with that. But most of us didn't notice it happening because it happened slowly, one subscription at a time. One terms of service update at a time. One, we've updated our policy email that nobody reads at a time. And now we're standing in the middle of an economy where almost nothing we pay for actually belongs to us. This video is about how that happened, why it happened, and what it means for regular people just trying to live a normal life. There was a time, and it wasn't that long ago, when buying something meant it was yours. You bought a CD, and that CD sat on your shelf until the end of time. You could play it, lend it, sell it, scratch it, throw it off a bridge. It was your property. Same with a book. Same with a VHS tape. Same with a video game cartridge. The transaction was simple. You gave money, you got a thing. The thing was yours forever. But starting in the early 2000s, something shifted. Companies figured out that selling you a product once was a terrible business model. You buy it once, they get paid once, and then they have to go find another customer. That's expensive. That's unpredictable. What if instead of selling you the thing, they could sell you access to the thing? Now they get paid every single month, forever, as long as you keep using it. That one idea changed everything. Music went first. Instead of buying albums, you started streaming them. Sounds great, right? Unlimited music for $10 a month. Except you don't own any of it. Cancel your subscription and every song disappears. 10 years of playlists? Gone. You paid thousands of dollars over that decade, and you walk away with nothing. Compare that to the caveman with a shelf full of CDs. He cancels nothing. He still has his music. He owns it. Movies went next, then software. Remember when you could buy Microsoft Office with a one-time payment? A disk in a box. Install it and use it for 10 years if you wanted. Now it's a subscription. Pay every month or lose access to your own documents. Adobe did the same thing with Photoshop. You used to buy it once for a few $100s. Now it's a monthly fee. And if you stop paying, you can't even open the files you created with it. Think about that for a second. You made something using their tool, and if you stop paying rent on the tool, you lose access to your own creation. A caveman who carved a spear using a borrowed rock would still keep the spear. In the modern world, they'd take the spear back and charge you a cancellation fee. Now let's talk about something that really gets under people's skin: cars. You'd think if there's one thing you clearly own when you pay for it, it's your car. You signed the papers. You made the payments. It's parked in your driveway. It has your name on the title. But increasingly, the features inside that car are not yours. Some car manufacturers have started locking features behind monthly subscriptions. Heated seats you already have the hardware for? Pay a monthly fee to turn them on. Navigation that's built into the dashboard? Subscription. Remote start from your phone? Subscription. The physical parts are in the car. You paid for the car. But the software that activates those parts is controlled by someone else. This is one of those things that would break a caveman's brain. You built the fire pit inside my cave, but I have to pay you every moon cycle to light it? Yes, that's essentially what's happening. And it's not just a few luxury brands doing this. It's becoming an industry trend. The car companies realized that selling a car once isn't as profitable as selling a car once and then charging for features forever. And it gets worse. Repair. Modern cars are so loaded with proprietary software that independent mechanics often can't fix them. You have to go to the dealer. You have to use their parts. You have to pay their prices. The right to repair your own property, something humans have done since the invention of tools, is being taken away by software locks and legal agreements. A caveman fixed his own spear. You need a certified technician and a software license to change your brake pads. If you're a gamer, you already know this pain. Digital games that you bought, full price, can be taken from you. It's happened before, and it keeps happening. A company shuts down a server, and your game stops working. Not because it's broken, not because it's old, because someone decided it wasn't profitable to keep running anymore. You paid $60 for something that now returns an error message. And it's not just games. It's in-game purchases, downloadable content, entire digital libraries. People have spent hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars building collections on platforms that could theoretically disappear overnight. The terms of service on most digital platforms say clearly, if you actually read them, that you are purchasing a license, not a product. You're buying the right to access something for as long as the company feels like letting you. A caveman would be bewildered. You traded 3 days of hunting for a shiny thing, and the shiny thing can just decide to stop being shiny? That's exactly it. You trade real labor, real hours of your life, for something that exists only as long as a corporation allows it to. And what's maddening is that this isn't a bug. It's the plan. Game companies have realized that the real money isn't in selling you a finished product. It's in selling you a live service. A game that's always changing, always updating, always releasing new content that costs extra. You don't buy a game anymore. You buy a ticket to an experience that requires ongoing payments to fully enjoy. And if you stop paying, or if the company decides to move on to the next game, everything you invested just evaporates. Your progress, your purchases, your time. None of it was ever really yours. It was always theirs, displayed on your screen with your name on it, which made it feel like ownership. But feeling like you own something and actually owning it are two very different things. Let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. The average American household now pays for somewhere between 10 and 15 subscriptions. Streaming services, music, cloud storage, software, news, fitness apps, meal kits, even razor blades. Each one seems small, $10 here, $15 there, but add them all up, and you might be spending $200, $300, sometimes $400 a month on things you don't own. That's thousands of dollars a year on access, not ownership. And here's the clever part. These companies know that canceling feels like losing something. Even if you're barely using a service, the thought of losing it triggers a small fear. What if I need it later? What if I lose my playlists? What if I miss an episode? So you keep paying, month after month, year after year. Not because the service is amazing, but because leaving feels worse than staying. That's not loyalty. That's a trap designed by people who understand human psychology better than most humans understand themselves. A caveman didn't have a subscription to fire. He didn't lease the concept of shelter. He found what he needed, built what he could, and kept what he made. Modern humans have been trained to believe that owning nothing and paying forever is somehow more convenient. And you know what? For the companies, it absolutely is. There's also something darker underneath the convenience story. When you subscribe to everything, you become dependent on everything. Your workflow depends on software you rent. Your entertainment depends on platforms you don't control. Your memories, photos, documents, and creative work live on servers you'll never see. Pull one thread and your whole life gets disrupted. That dependency is the real product. Not the app, not the movie, the dependency. Because a dependent customer never leaves. They can't afford to. They've built too much of their life on top of something they don't own. And the companies know this. They design for it. Let's go even further. Smart home technology. Thermostats, doorbells, security cameras, refrigerators, even light bulbs. More and more household devices are connected to the internet and controlled by apps. Sounds futuristic. Sounds convenient. Until the company that makes your smart thermostat goes out of business, or decides to stop supporting your model, or pushes an update that bricks the device, or requires a subscription for features that used to be free. People have had their smart home devices stop working because a cloud server was shut down, not because the device broke. The physical thing was fine, but the brain of it lived on someone else's computer, and when that computer went offline, your thermostat became a plastic rectangle on the wall. You paid for it, you installed it, you depended on it, and it turned into nothing because a company you never met made a business decision. This is what happens when everything needs to be connected to the internet to function. You don't own a device anymore. You own a piece of hardware that asks for permission from a distant server every time it wants to do its job. Imagine a caveman's torch that had to check in with the mountain before it could burn. He'd throw it in the river and make a new one. But we can't do that when the torch costs $300 and controls our heating. One of the clearest and most outrageous examples of this problem comes from farming. Modern tractors, the giant machines that grow the food you eat, are packed with software. And that software is locked down by the manufacturer. If a farmer's tractor breaks down in the middle of harvest season, they often can't fix it themselves. The manufacturer controls the diagnostic software. The farmer has to call a technician, sometimes wait days, and pay whatever the company charges. For a machine they bought outright, sometimes for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Farmers have been fighting for the right to repair their own equipment for years. And this fight has brought the ownership problem into sharp focus. Because there's something deeply wrong about telling a person who spent $250,000 on a machine that they're not allowed to open the hood. A caveman made his own plow. It wasn't fancy, but if it broke, he fixed it with his own hands that afternoon. A modern farmer with the most advanced equipment on the planet has to wait for a software patch to plant his crops. Tell me that's progress. Tell me that's what the future was supposed to look like. A machine you own that you're not allowed to understand. A tool you paid for that answers to someone else. If that doesn't make the problem real for you, nothing will. So how did we get here? The answer is pretty straightforward when you strip away all the marketing language. Ownership is a one-time transaction. Subscriptions are forever. From a business perspective, recurring revenue is the holy grail. Wall Street loves it. Investors love it. It makes quarterly earnings predictable and stock prices stable. So every company on Earth is now trying to figure out how to turn their product into a service. And they have help. Digital technology makes this possible in ways that weren't available before. When everything was physical, you couldn't take it back. A book on a shelf is a book on a shelf. But when everything is digital, the company can maintain control after the sale. They can update it, they can change it, they can remove it, they can add ads to it. They can lock features behind new paywalls. The product is never really finished, and it's never really yours. On top of that, legal frameworks haven't caught up. When you click "I agree" on a terms of service page, you're often signing away rights you didn't even know you had. And nobody reads those pages. They're designed to be unreadable. Thousands of words of legal language written specifically so you'll scroll past them. A caveman's handshake deal was more honest than a 40-page terms of service agreement written by a team of lawyers whose job is to protect the company from you, the customer. And there's a cultural layer to this too. We've been sold the idea that owning things is old-fashioned. Minimalism, the sharing economy, access over ownership. These ideas sound enlightened, and in some contexts, they genuinely are. But when corporations adopt that language, it's not philosophy, it's strategy. They want you to feel good about not owning things, because your comfort with renting everything is what makes their revenue model work. They dressed up a business decision as a lifestyle choice, and a lot of us bought it. Literally. Here's why this matters beyond just money. When you don't own anything, you don't have security. You don't have independence. You have an arrangement that lasts exactly as long as the other party wants it to. If your music, your movies, your work tools, your car features, and your home devices all depend on ongoing permission from corporations, then your daily life is built on a foundation that someone else controls. That's a kind of vulnerability that didn't exist a generation ago. Your parents owned their records, they owned their books, they owned their tools. If a company went out of business, the stuff they bought still worked. Today, a company going out of business can mean your stuff stops working. You paid in full, and you still lost. And this is slowly changing how people think about value. Younger generations are growing up in a world where nothing feels permanent. Everything is rented. Everything is temporary. Everything can be taken away. And that does something to your sense of stability. It makes the ground feel shaky, even when things are going fine. Because somewhere in the back of your mind, you know that everything you've built in the digital world exists at the pleasure of someone else's business model. A caveman owned very little, but everything he owned was real. He could touch it, use it, fix it, and keep it. Modern humans have access to everything and ownership of almost nothing. There's a word for someone who works all day and owns nothing at the end of it, and it's not a word that sounds like freedom. So what's the move? First, be aware of it. That's not a small thing. Most people are paying for 10 subscriptions and haven't stopped to add up what they're spending versus what they actually own. Do that math. It might surprise you. If you're spending $300 a month on subscriptions, that's $3,600 a year. In 10 years, that's $36,000, and you own nothing from it. Second, where you can, choose ownership. Buy the book instead of the Kindle rental. Download the file instead of streaming it if that option exists. Support platforms that let you actually keep what you buy. There's a growing movement of creators and companies who believe in real digital ownership. They're out there. They deserve your money more than the companies trying to lease your life back to you. Third, support right to repair laws. This is an actual political fight happening right now. Several states have already passed legislation, and more are considering it. It matters because it draws a legal line that says if you bought it, you have the right to fix it, modify it, and control it. That's not radical. That's how buying things has worked for all of human history until about 15 years ago. Fourth, be skeptical of convenience. Every time a company offers you something that's easier and cheaper and more connected, ask what you're giving up in return. Because convenience is the bait, and control is the hook. They make it easy to start and hard to leave. They make the product feel like yours until the moment it isn't. The caveman in your brain knows that if something seems too good to be true, it probably wants to eat you. Here's where we are. We live in the most materially abundant society in history. There's more stuff available than at any other point in human existence. And yet, The average person owns less real, permanent, can't-be-taken-away stuff than their grandparents did. We traded ownership for access. We traded control for convenience. We traded permanence for a monthly fee and a terms of service agreement that nobody reads and everyone accepts. That trade wasn't explained to us honestly. Nobody sat us down and said, "Hey, from now on, you're going to pay for everything forever and own none of it. Cool?" It just happened, gradually, quietly, one updated policy at a time. And now we're living in a world where a company can sell you something, keep control of it, charge you again to keep using it, and take it away whenever they decide to. And we just accept it because the alternative feels inconvenient. A caveman would not accept this. A caveman would look at this whole setup and say, "You give them your food, and they give you something that still belongs to them? And you do this every month? And you call yourselves the smart ones?" He'd have a point. He'd have a very good point. The question isn't whether this trend will continue. It will. Companies have too much incentive to stop. The question is whether you'll keep sleepwalking through it, or whether you'll start paying attention to what you're actually getting when you click buy. Because that button doesn't always mean what it used to. And knowing that might be the most valuable thing you own right now. A caveman with a sharp rock owned more than most of us do today. Not because he had more, but because what he had was actually his. And no one could take it away with a software update.